Cristiano Ronaldo, the man who refused to fail. Chapter 1, The Boy from Madeira. The visuals you're about to see may not always match the words you're about to hear, and that's completely intentional. This documentary wasn't created to keep your eyes glued to the screen every second. It was created to tell a story. So if you've had a long day, put on your headphones, sit back, and if you feel like it, close your eyes for a moment. Let your imagination paint the pictures while the story unfolds. Because today, we're not just talking about football. We're talking about sacrifice, discipline, heartbreak, impossible dreams, and one man who refused to let his circumstances decide his future. This is the story of Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro. On a small island in the Atlantic Ocean, far away from the bright lights of Europe's biggest football stadiums, a boy was born on the 5th of February, 1985. The island was Madeira, Portugal, a place known for its breathtaking landscapes, steep mountains, and endless ocean views. But behind that beauty, life wasn't easy for many of the families who lived there, including Ronaldo's. Cristiano Ronaldo was the youngest of 4 children. His father, José Diniz Aveiro, worked as a municipal gardener and also served as a kit man for a local football club called Andorinha. His mother, Maria Dolores dos Santos Aveiro, worked long hours as a cook and cleaner, doing everything she could to provide for the family. Money was always tight. There were days when every euro mattered, and luxury was a word the family simply couldn't relate to. The name Ronaldo wasn't chosen by accident. His father admired the former United States President Ronald Reagan, who was not only a politician, but also an actor. Inspired by him, José gave his youngest son the middle name Ronaldo. At the time, nobody could have imagined that one day millions of children around the world would know that name better than almost any politician or actor in history. From the very beginning, Cristiano's world revolved around football. While other children spent their afternoons playing different games, Ronaldo only wanted one thing: a ball at his feet. He played in narrow streets, on uneven patches of ground, and wherever he could find enough space to kick a football. Those rough surfaces became his first training ground. Every bounce of the ball taught him control, every narrow alley forced him to think faster, and every older child he played against made him stronger. His father often took him to Andorinha Football Club, where he worked as the kit man. While José prepared the players' equipment, young Cristiano chased footballs around the pitch. It didn't take long for the coaches to notice something different about the energetic little boy. He wasn't just faster than the other children, he was obsessed. Losing a small practice game would make him cry. Missing a chance to score could ruin his entire day. Even at that age, failure wasn't something Cristiano accepted easily. Some people laughed at how seriously he took children's football, but that relentless desire to win would eventually become one of the defining characteristics of his entire career. As he grew older, Ronaldo joined Nassr, one of Madeira's biggest clubs. His speed, confidence, and technical ability made him stand out almost immediately. Opponents struggled to keep up with him, and coaches realized that Madeira was no longer big enough for a talent like Cristiano. Before long, scouts from mainland Portugal began paying attention. At just 12 years old, Cristiano received an opportunity that would change his life forever. Sporting Clube de Portugal, one of the country's biggest clubs and famous for developing young talent, invited him to Lisbon for trials. It wasn't just another football academy, it was a place where dreams could become reality. The journey from Madeira to Lisbon was only about a 2-hour flight, But emotionally, it felt like crossing an ocean. Cristiano had never lived away from home. He was still just a child, leaving behind his family, friends, and the only life he had ever known was terrifying. Imagine being 12 years old, boarding a plane alone, knowing that your future depends entirely on your own ability. Most children would have chosen the comfort of home. Cristiano chose uncertainty because he believed that his dream was worth the sacrifice. Life at Sporting's academy wasn't easy. Ronaldo spoke with a strong Madeiran accent, and some of the other boys mocked the way he talked. He was homesick almost every day. There were nights when he cried because he missed his mother. The food was different. The city felt unfamiliar. Everything about his new life was uncomfortable. Many talented young players return home when faced with such challenges. Ronaldo didn't. Instead, he buried himself in training. If others trained for an hour, he wanted to train for 2. If practice ended, he stayed behind to work on free kicks, shooting, and dribbling. Coaches began noticing something remarkable. Cristiano wasn't just talented, he was addicted to improvement. Talent could get someone into the academy. Work ethic would decide who stayed. One of Ronaldo's youth coaches later described him as a player who hated finishing training because he always believed there was one more skill he could improve. Even after exhausting sessions, he would ask teammates to stay behind so he could practice more. His competitiveness wasn't reserved for matches. It appeared in every drill, every sprint, every exercise. There was another challenge few people knew about. During a medical examination, doctors discovered that Ronaldo had a heart condition called tachycardia, which caused his heart to beat faster than normal, even when resting. For a young athlete whose entire future depended on physical performance, the diagnosis was frightening. Doctors recommended surgery. The procedure was successful, but it meant temporarily stepping away from football. For many young players, such a setback could destroy confidence. Ronaldo viewed it differently. As soon as he recovered, he returned to training with even greater determination. It became another reminder that nothing in his journey would come easily. By the age of 16, Sporting's coaches realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. Ronaldo progressed through multiple youth levels faster than almost anyone before him. His dribbling dazzled defenders, his pace terrified opponents. Most importantly, he carried himself with a confidence that made him believe he belonged on the biggest stage, even before he had reached it. That confidence was often misunderstood. Some called him arrogant, others believed he was showing off. But behind every flashy skill was a teenager who had spent thousands of extra hours practicing when nobody else was watching. Confidence wasn't something Ronaldo pretended to have. It was something he had earned. In 2002, Cristiano Ronaldo finally made his professional debut for Sporting CP's first team. The boy who had left Madeira with nothing but hope had become one of Portugal's brightest young talents. His performances immediately attracted attention from clubs across Europe. Then came the match that would change football history. In August 2003, Sporting inaugurated their new stadium with a friendly match against Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Sir Alex Ferguson's team expected a comfortable evening against Portugal's young prospects. Instead, they found themselves chasing shadows. Every time Ronaldo received the ball, Manchester United's experienced defenders struggled to stop him. He attacked with fearless confidence, dribbling past players, sprinting down the wing, and creating chance after chance. The United players walked off the pitch exhausted. Several of them reportedly urged Sir Alex Ferguson to sign the teenager immediately. Ferguson didn't need much convincing, he had seen enough. Within days, Manchester United completed the transfer for around £12 million, making Cristiano Ronaldo the most expensive teenager in English football history at the time. The skinny boy from Madeira, who once played barefoot in narrow streets and wondered whether his family could afford another meal, was about to wear one of the most famous shirts in football. He didn't know it yet, but the hardest chapter of his life was only just beginning. Chapter 2, From a Boy in Madeira to the World's Biggest Stage, Part A. Cristiano Ronaldo had achieved what millions of children could only dream of. At just 18 years old, he was standing inside Old Trafford, one of the most iconic football stadiums in the world. The roar of more than 70,000 fans echoed through the stands, and somewhere among them were supporters who had no idea they were about to witness the beginning of one of football's greatest careers. For Ronaldo, however, this wasn't the end of the dream. It was only the beginning. Joining Manchester United in 2003 was unlike joining any ordinary football club. Under the leadership of Sir Alex Ferguson, United wasn't just a team, it was a machine built on discipline, hard work, and an unbreakable winning mentality. Legends like Roy Keane, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Rio Ferdinand, and Ruud van Nistelrooy filled the dressing room. Cristiano suddenly found himself surrounded by players he had watched on television only months before. Then came the moment that surprised everyone. Sir Alex Ferguson handed the young Portuguese winger the number 7 shirt. For most players, it was just a number. At Manchester United, it was history. George Best, Brian Robson, Eric Cantona, and David Beckham had all worn that jersey. It represented leadership, excellence, and immense expectations. Ronaldo himself had asked for number 28, the number he wore at Sporting CP, believing it would reduce the pressure. Ferguson refused. He looked at the teenager and simply said that he believed Cristiano could handle it. That decision would become one of the most famous choices in football history. The nickname CR7 had begun. Despite the excitement, England proved to be a completely different challenge. The Premier League was faster, stronger, and far more physical than anything Ronaldo had experienced in Portugal. Defenders didn't admire his skills, they wanted to stop him at any cost. Hard tackles became part of every match. Opponents mocked his tricks, calling him flashy and selfish. Newspapers questioned whether he would ever adapt to English football. During his first season, Ronaldo often relied on dazzling stepovers and spectacular dribbles. The crowd loved them, but critics argued that he held on to the ball for too long. Experienced defenders quickly learned that if they stayed patient, they could force the young winger into mistakes. For the first time since arriving in professional football, Ronaldo realized that raw talent alone would never be enough. Most players would have accepted those criticisms and tried to survive. Cristiano did something different. He transformed himself. Training became an obsession. After official sessions ended, Ronaldo stayed behind on the training ground practicing free kicks, crossing, finishing, and shooting from every possible angle. He worked on his weaker foot until it became nearly as dangerous as his stronger one. He spent countless hours in the gym building strength to compete against the powerful defenders of English football. Every weakness that journalists pointed out became another item on his personal checklist. Sir Alex Ferguson recognized this hunger immediately. More than a manager, Ferguson became a father figure. He protected Ronaldo from unnecessary criticism, encouraged him after poor performances, and constantly reminded him that greatness wasn't built overnight. Ferguson understood something many others didn't. Extraordinary talent needed patience. The bond between manager and player grew stronger every season. As Ronaldo improved, his teammates began noticing something remarkable. He wasn't satisfied with simply being good enough to start matches. He wanted to become the best player in every training session, every competition, and every season. Stories soon emerged of Ronaldo arriving at Carrington, Manchester United's training complex, before everyone else and leaving long after everyone had gone home. One former teammate recalled arriving early for training, believing he would be the first player there, only to discover Ronaldo had already finished part of his workout. For Cristiano, talent was never an excuse to work less. It was a reason to work harder. The 2006 FIFA World Cup brought both recognition and controversy. Representing Portugal, Ronaldo played a key role in helping his country reach the semi-finals. But during the quarter-final against England, an incident involving Manchester United teammate Wayne Rooney dominated headlines. Rooney was sent off after an altercation with Portuguese defender Ricardo Carvalho, and cameras captured Ronaldo appearing to wink toward Portugal's bench. English newspapers exploded with criticism. Many Manchester United supporters believed Ronaldo had betrayed Rooney. When he returned to England, stadiums across the country greeted him with boos. Every away match became hostile. Fans whistled every touch of the ball, hoping to shake his confidence. Instead of breaking him, the criticism fueled him. Ronaldo responded in the only way he knew, with football. The 2006-07 season marked the beginning of a transformation unlike anything the Premier League had seen. The teenager, known for flashy skills, was becoming a complete footballer. His dribbling remained electrifying, but now it was combined with intelligent movement, precise finishing, incredible pace, and a growing ability to score goals from almost any position. Manchester United won the Premier League title, ending Chelsea's dominance. Ronaldo was named PFA Players' Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year, becoming the first footballer to win both awards in the same season. Yet Cristiano wasn't celebrating individual awards for long. He wanted more. The following season would become one of the greatest individual campaigns in football history. During the 2007-08 season, Ronaldo reached a completely different level. He scored from free kicks that seemed to defy physics. He leaped above defenders to score towering headers despite not being the tallest player on the pitch. He fired unstoppable long-range strikes, danced through entire defensive lines, and delivered match-winning performances week after week. By the end of the season, he had scored an astonishing 42 goals in all competitions, an extraordinary number for a player who had started his career as a winger. His performances carried Manchester United to another Premier League title and, more importantly, to the UEFA Champions League final against Chelsea in Moscow. The rain poured relentlessly that night. Millions watched around the world as two English giants battled for European glory. Ronaldo opened the scoring with a powerful header, soaring above Chelsea's defenders with incredible timing. It looked like the perfect final. Then came the penalty shootout. Cristiano stepped forward, he missed. For a brief moment it seemed as though his mistake would cost Manchester United the Champions League. Ronaldo stood with tears in his eyes, believing he had let everyone down. But football often writes stories no scriptwriter could imagine. John Terry slipped while taking Chelsea's decisive penalty. Suddenly, hope returned. Edwin van der Sar saved Nicolas Anelka's penalty moments later, and Manchester United were crowned champions of Europe. Ronaldo collapsed to the ground in relief. The tears returned. This time, they were tears of joy. Chapter 2. From a Boy in Madeira to the World's Biggest Stage, Part B. The Champions League triumph in Moscow was more than just another trophy. For Cristiano Ronaldo, it was proof that every lonely night in Lisbon, every extra training session after practice, every criticism from journalists, and every painful tackle on English pitches had been worth enduring. The skinny teenager, who had arrived in Manchester with braces on his teeth and endless stepovers, had transformed into the most feared footballer in England. But Ronaldo was never satisfied with simply being the best in one country. He wanted to become the best player in the world. That dream became reality at the end of 2008. After producing one of the greatest individual seasons football had ever seen, Cristiano Ronaldo stood on the stage in Paris and accepted the Ballon d'Or, football's most prestigious individual award. As he held the golden trophy in his hands, it represented far more than personal success. It represented every sacrifice his family had made, every early morning, every extra sprint, every moment he had refused to quit. For many players, winning the Ballon d'Or would have been the ultimate destination. For Ronaldo, it was simply another milestone on a much longer journey. Even while celebrating success with Manchester United, another dream quietly remained alive in his heart. Since childhood, he had imagined wearing the white shirt of Real Madrid. The Spanish giants had always fascinated him. They weren't just another football club, they were the biggest stage in world football, home to legends like Alfredo Di Stefano, Ferenc Puskás, Zinedine Zidane, and Luis Figo. Ronaldo wanted to test himself where expectations were higher than anywhere else. In the summer of 2009, that opportunity finally arrived. Real Madrid agreed to pay around 94 million euros, making Cristiano Ronaldo the most expensive footballer in history at the time. The transfer wasn't just a sporting story, it became global news. Newspapers across Europe questioned whether any player could ever justify such an enormous fee. Critics claimed the pressure would be unbearable. Some believed he would never live up to the expectations that came with becoming the world's most expensive footballer. Ronaldo listened to every opinion. Then, he ignored them. When he was officially presented at the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium, more than 80,000 supporters filled the stands simply to welcome one player. It felt less like a football presentation and more like the arrival of a global superstar. Wearing the famous white jersey for the first time, Ronaldo looked around the stadium and smiled. The dream that had begun on the streets of Madeira had brought him to one of football's greatest cathedrals. Yet dreams come with responsibility. At Real Madrid, finishing second was considered failure. Winning one trophy wasn't enough. Every season demanded league titles, Champions League success, and individual brilliance. Every missed chance became front-page news. Every defeat was treated as a crisis. Ronaldo embraced the pressure. Instead of allowing the world record price tag to weigh him down, he treated it as motivation. He trained with the same relentless intensity that had defined him since childhood. Teammates often spoke about arriving at training only to find Ronaldo already working. Others described him staying behind long after everyone else had gone home, practicing free kicks, headers, penalties, and finishing from impossible angles. There were no shortcuts, Cristiano believed greatness was built long before the cameras arrived. During his first seasons in Spain, another extraordinary story was unfolding just a few hundred kilometers away. At Barcelona, Lionel Messi was reaching levels of football few had ever witnessed. Suddenly, football had two players capable of producing magic almost every single week. What began as competition soon became one of the greatest rivalries in sporting history. Messi represented natural genius, effortless elegance, and extraordinary vision. Ronaldo represented relentless dedication, athletic perfection, and an almost superhuman desire to improve. Every weekend, millions of fans compared goals, assists, trophies, and performances. Every Ballon d'Or ceremony became another chapter in an endless debate. Who was better? The rivalry divided football fans around the world, but it also elevated both players to unimaginable heights. Knowing that Messi was producing incredible performances pushed Ronaldo to work even harder. In many ways, each man's greatness inspired the other to become even greater. As the rivalry intensified, Ronaldo continued rewriting records at Real Madrid. His goal-scoring numbers became almost unbelievable. Season after season, he scored 50 or 60 goals in all competitions. Free kicks curled into the top corner. Long-range strikes flew past helpless goalkeepers. Towering headers seemed to ignore gravity. Defenders knew exactly what Ronaldo wanted to do, yet stopping him remained almost impossible. He wasn't just scoring goals, he was redefining what consistency looked like at the highest level. By now, Cristiano Ronaldo had evolved into the complete footballer. The young winger, known for step-overs, had become an elite goalscorer, a powerful header of the ball, a clinical finisher with both feet, and one of the fittest athletes the sport had ever seen. His physical condition became legendary. Nutrition, recovery, sleep, and training were treated with absolute seriousness. While others relied on talent alone, Ronaldo built himself into a machine. His mentality fascinated coaches, teammates, and even opponents. Defeat hurt him more than victory satisfied him. A hat-trick wasn't enough if the team failed to win. Breaking one record only made him chase the next. There always seemed to be another mountain to climb. Behind the confidence the world saw was a man driven by an extraordinary fear of standing still. Cristiano understood that football never waited for anyone. Every season brought younger players hoping to replace the old generation. Every year, the expectations grew higher. Instead of slowing down, he increased his standards. Children across the world copied his celebrations, teenagers imitated his free kicks, athletes from other sports studied his discipline. Cristiano Ronaldo had become far more than a footballer. He had become a global symbol of hard work. Yet, despite all the goals, trophies, and personal awards, one dream remained painfully incomplete. Portugal had never won a major international tournament. Every summer, Ronaldo carried the hopes of an entire nation on his shoulders. Every defeat hurt more deeply because it wasn't just his disappointment, it belonged to millions of Portuguese supporters. That challenge would define the next chapter of his career. Because while Cristiano Ronaldo had conquered England, while he had conquered Spain, and while he had become one of the greatest players football had ever seen, his greatest test still waited ahead, the dream of leading an entire country to glory. And that dream would demand more sacrifice than anything he had faced before. Chapter 3: The Weight of a Nation, Part 1. There is a moment in every great athlete's career when personal success is no longer enough. The trophies collected with clubs, the individual awards, the records, the fame, none of it can fill the one empty space that still remains. For Cristiano Ronaldo, that empty space wore the colours of Portugal. By the early 2000s, Ronaldo had already conquered almost everything at club level. He had won league titles in England, lifted the UEFA Champions League, claimed the Ballon d'Or, and become the most expensive player in football history before rewriting goal-scoring records at Real Madrid. Every weekend he reminded the world why he belonged among the greatest players the sport had ever seen. But every time he returned home to wear the red and green shirt of Portugal, the expectations became even heavier. To the Portuguese people, Ronaldo wasn't just their captain, he was their hope. Every tournament carried the same question. Can Cristiano Ronaldo finally lead Portugal to their first major international trophy? It wasn't a fair burden for one player to carry, but greatness rarely comes with fairness. Portugal had produced incredible footballers before Ronaldo. Eusebio had inspired a generation, Luis Figo had dazzled Europe, Rui Costa had been admired for his elegance. Yet despite all that talent, the country had never won a major international tournament. Cristiano wanted to change history. The first heartbreak arrived in 2004. Portugal hosted the UEFA European Championship on home soil. Stadiums overflowed with optimism. The nation believed destiny had chosen this moment for its first international title. Ronaldo, still only 19 years old, was one of the youngest players in the squad, learning from experienced leaders while already showing flashes of brilliance. Portugal reached the final. Standing between them and history was Greece, a team almost nobody expected to be there. Football experts predicted Portugal would comfortably lift the trophy in front of their own supporters. Football had other plans. Greece defended with extraordinary discipline, frustrating Portugal at every opportunity. Then came the decisive goal. Time slowly slipped away, and with every passing minute, Portuguese dreams faded. When the final whistle echoed around the stadium, Greece were champions. Cristiano Ronaldo dropped to the ground in tears. The cameras captured a young man crying uncontrollably, devastated not because he had failed himself, but because he felt he had failed an entire nation. For many players, such heartbreak would become a painful memory. For Ronaldo, it became fuel. He promised himself that one day Portugal would celebrate instead of cry. 2 years later, at the 2006 FIFA World Cup in Germany, Portugal once again carried hope into the tournament. Ronaldo had matured into one of Europe's brightest stars, and alongside experienced teammates like Luis Figo, Ricardo Carvalho, Deco, and Maniche, Portugal produced one of their finest World Cup campaigns in decades. They reached the semi-finals. Only France stood in their way. A single penalty from Zinedine Zidane separated the two teams, sending Portugal into the third-place playoff instead of the final. Another opportunity had disappeared. Still, the tournament proved something important. Cristiano Ronaldo was no longer simply a promising youngster. He had become Portugal's leader. As the years passed, the responsibility only grew heavier. By the time Euro 2008 arrived, the football world viewed Ronaldo differently. He wasn't just Portugal's best player anymore. He was expected to carry the entire team. Opponents built defensive systems specifically to stop him. Every touch of the ball attracted 2 or 3 defenders. Every newspaper focused on his performances. Every missed opportunity became national debate. Greatness comes with attention. Legendary status comes with pressure. At the 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa, Portugal once again dreamed of glory. Ronaldo entered the tournament as one of the biggest stars in world football after his record-breaking move to Real Madrid, but dreams collided with reality. Portugal were eliminated by Spain, the team that would eventually become world champions. Another tournament, another disappointment. Every defeat raised familiar questions. Can Ronaldo perform when Portugal need him most? The criticism hurt, not because Ronaldo lacked confidence, but because nobody wanted international success more than he did. Behind every smile during interviews stood a man carrying unimaginable expectations. Football fans often saw the goals, the celebrations, and the trophies. They rarely saw the emotional weight. By Euro 2012, Portugal had assembled another talented squad. Alongside players like Pepe, João Moutinho, Nani, and Fabio Coentrão, Ronaldo believed this could finally be their moment. Portugal played outstanding football. They reached the semi-finals once again, standing in front of them, Spain, the reigning European and world champions. For 120 exhausting minutes, neither team could find the breakthrough. The match went to penalties. Cristiano Ronaldo had been chosen to take Portugal's fifth penalty, the one managers often reserve for their most trusted player. But football can be cruel. Portugal missed earlier penalties. The shootout ended before Ronaldo even had the chance to step forward. He stood in the centre circle, watching helplessly. The opportunity never came. Another dream had slipped away without him even touching the ball. The criticism returned immediately. Some questioned the decision to take the fifth penalty. Others blamed luck. Ronaldo blamed nobody. He simply returned to training. If there is one lesson that defines Cristiano Ronaldo's career, it is this. Every setback became another reason to improve. Every defeat became another training session. Every criticism became another source of motivation. While international disappointment continued, his club career reached unimaginable heights. At Real Madrid, Ronaldo entered what many consider the greatest goal-scoring period any footballer has ever produced. Season after season, he scored 50, 60, sometimes even more goals. The numbers became almost unbelievable. Champions League nights turned into Ronaldo's personal stage. Opponents arrived with plans to stop him. Most left wondering how he had scored again. His famous "See You" celebration echoed through stadiums across Europe. Children copied it in school playgrounds. Professional athletes copied it in other sports. It became more than a football celebration. It became a symbol of confidence, a symbol of believing in yourself. But despite every Ballon d'Or, every Champions League trophy, every individual record, Cristiano still looked toward Portugal with unfinished business. There was one trophy he wanted more than any golden boot, more than another Champions League, more than another Ballon d'Or. He wanted to give Portugal a reason to celebrate. That opportunity finally arrived in the summer of 2016. Few people believed Portugal could win the European Championship. They had qualified from their group without winning a single match. Critics called them lucky. Some even claimed they didn't deserve to remain in the tournament. Ronaldo heard every opinion. He said nothing. He let football speak instead. Portugal slowly fought their way through the knockout rounds, one victory, then another. Suddenly, they stood in the final. France awaited them in Paris, the host nation, the favourites. An entire stadium expected France to lift the trophy. For Cristiano Ronaldo, it wasn't just another football match. It was the opportunity he had spent more than a decade waiting for. The opportunity to erase the tears of 2004, the opportunity to repay every Portuguese supporter who had believed in him, the opportunity to make history. But football still had one final test waiting for him. Chapter 3. The Weight of a Nation, Part B. The Stade de France was alive with anticipation. More than 75,000 supporters filled the stadium, while millions around the world watched from their homes. Portugal stood just 90 minutes away from the greatest achievement in the nation's football history. Across the pitch waited France, the host nation led by Antoine Griezmann, Paul Pogba, Dimitri Payet, and a squad filled with world-class talent. The odds favoured France, the atmosphere favoured France. Almost everything pointed toward a French victory. Everything except one thing: Cristiano Ronaldo's belief. The opening minutes, however, brought heartbreak instead of hope. In the 8th minute, Dimitri Payet challenged Ronaldo for the ball. The Portuguese captain immediately fell to the ground, clutching his left knee in pain. Medical staff rushed onto the pitch as millions held their breath. Ronaldo tried to continue. He refused to leave. Time after time, he attempted to run, only for the pain to force him back down. Tears rolled down his face. This was the biggest match of his international career, and his body was betraying him. Finally, in the 25th minute, he accepted the inevitable. Wearing the captain's armband, Cristiano Ronaldo limped off the pitch in tears. The image of him being comforted by his teammates became one of the defining moments of the tournament. Most captains would have disappeared into the dressing room. Cristiano stayed. Standing on the touchline with his injured knee heavily strapped, he shouted instructions, encouraged teammates, celebrated tackles, and lived every second of the match as though he were still playing. Cameras repeatedly showed him standing beside Portugal's coach, passionately directing the team. It was one of the greatest examples of leadership football had ever witnessed. Extra time arrived with the score still level. Fatigue covered every player on the field. Then came the 79th minute of extra time. Substitute Ada received the ball nearly 25 metres from goal. Hardly anyone expected what happened next. He struck the ball low with his right foot. The shot flew beyond Hugo Lloris. Silence. Then an explosion of celebration. Portugal had scored. The final whistle arrived moments later. Cristiano Ronaldo collapsed into tears once again. This time, they were tears of triumph. 12 years after crying as a teenager in the Euro 2004 final, Cristiano Ronaldo finally lifted Portugal's first major international trophy. It wasn't simply a victory, it was redemption. It proved that sometimes the greatest leaders don't inspire only by scoring goals. Sometimes they inspire simply by refusing to give up. 3 years later, Portugal added another historic achievement by winning the inaugural UEFA Nations League. Ronaldo scored a memorable hat-trick against Switzerland in the semi-final before Portugal defeated the Netherlands in the final. Another international trophy was added to the nation's cabinet, further strengthening Cristiano's legacy in Portuguese football. By then, another challenge had already begun. In 2018, after nearly a decade at Real Madrid, Ronaldo shocked the football world once again by joining Juventus. Many questioned the decision. He was 33 years old. Some believed his best years were behind him. Cristiano answered in the only language he had ever trusted: goals. He won league titles in Italy, finished as Serie A's top scorer, and once again demonstrated that changing countries and leagues did not change his ability to dominate. England, Spain, Italy, different languages, different styles of football, the same relentless excellence. Then, in 2021, football witnessed something nobody expected. Cristiano Ronaldo returned home, Manchester United. Old Trafford welcomed back the boy who had left as a superstar. His second debut felt almost cinematic. He scored twice, the crowd erupted with every touch, and for a moment it seemed as though history would repeat itself. But football changes quickly. Manchester United were no longer the dominant force they had once been. Managerial changes, inconsistency, and growing frustration created a difficult environment. Ronaldo continued scoring important goals, but the club struggled to match his ambitions. Eventually, his relationship with Manchester United came to an emotional end. Critics believed this was the conclusion of his career. Cristiano disagreed. At the end of 2022, he made another historic decision by signing for Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. Once again, many people questioned him. They claimed he was leaving elite football behind. They believed his influence would fade. Instead, his arrival transformed football in the Middle East. Within months, some of the biggest stars in world football followed. The Saudi Pro League attracted unprecedented global attention. Stadiums filled with supporters eager to watch legends of the game. Television audiences grew dramatically. Whether people agreed with the move or not, few could deny its impact. Cristiano Ronaldo had changed football once again. Even in his late 30s and early 40s, his mentality never disappeared. He remained the first to train, the last to leave, always searching for one more goal, one more victory, one more record. Over the course of his extraordinary career, Ronaldo became football's all-time leading international goalscorer, one of the highest goalscorers in club football history, and one of the most decorated players the sport has ever known. He won multiple Ballon d'Or awards, Champions League titles, league championships in 3 different countries, domestic cups, international trophies, and countless individual honours. Yet perhaps his greatest achievement could never be measured by statistics. He inspired millions. Children from poor neighbourhoods looked at Cristiano Ronaldo and realised that talent alone wasn't enough. Discipline mattered, sacrifice mattered, believing in yourself mattered. His famous celebration echoed in school playgrounds from Lisbon to Tokyo, from Buenos Aires to Kathmandu. His story became proof that hard work could take someone from almost anywhere to the biggest stage in the world. Then came the 2026 FIFA World Cup. At 41 years old, Cristiano Ronaldo knew this would almost certainly be his final appearance on football's biggest stage. Portugal entered the tournament carrying genuine hope, but football can be cruel even to its greatest legends. In the round of 16, Portugal faced neighbouring rivals, Spain. After a tense and closely contested match, Spain found a late breakthrough and won 1-0, ending Portugal's journey and bringing Ronaldo's remarkable World Cup career to a close. There was no fairy tale ending, no final trophy, no last-minute miracle, only applause. As Cristiano Ronaldo walked off the World Cup stage for the final time, supporters from around the world stood to honour a career that had inspired generations. Rivals applauded him. Teammates embraced him. Even those who had spent years debating his place in football history recognised that they had witnessed something extraordinary. Football would continue. New stars would emerge. Records would eventually be challenged, but some stories can never truly be repeated. Cristiano Ronaldo's journey was never just about goals. It was about refusing to accept limits. It was about turning criticism into motivation. It was about proving year after year that discipline can stand beside talent. Whether you believe Cristiano Ronaldo is the greatest footballer of all time or simply one of the greatest, one thing is impossible to deny. He changed football forever. He gave hope to children who believed their dreams were too big. He showed that greatness isn't inherited, it is earned. Every lonely morning, every extra repetition, every sacrifice that nobody else sees. Long after the final whistle of his career fades into history, long after the stadium lights grow dark, and long after future generations debate the greatest players the sport has ever seen, one name will always remain part of football's greatest story: Cristiano Ronaldo. Not because he was perfect, but because he never stopped chasing perfection. Thank you for watching this documentary. If you enjoyed this journey through the life of Cristiano Ronaldo, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Legacy Unfolded, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next cinematic documentary. Every legend has a story, and we're here to tell it. If you have suggestions for future documentaries or would like to support or collaborate with the channel, our business contact email is available in the description below. Until next time, thank you for watching Legacy Unfolded.